Hello everyone. So in today's video lecture we are going to discuss about the electrical properties of solid crystals. In the last lecture we are done with the defects in solid. We have covered defects as part 1 and part 2, and also we have covered some of the numericals based on this. Now moving to the next topic. Solid exhibits an amazing range of electrical conductivities, extending over 27 orders of the magnitude range between 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse meter inverse. So now you need to remember this range, that is the conductivity range of solid, and that is 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse meter inverse. Solids can be classified into three types based on their conductivities. So one we call it as conductors. Conductors are the solids with the conductivity ranging between 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse meter inverse. That means conductors are the solids which are having higher conductivity. Now what is conductivity and how they conduct, that is what we are going to learn today in this video lecture only. For now you have to accept this, they are good conductors. Conductors, that means in terms of we are talking about the electrical conductivity and the thermal conductivity, where we are discussing this about the electrical conductivity. So we are going to discuss this topic in terms of electrical conductivity only. Now metals have the conductivity in the order of 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse meter inverse are good conductors. Now you can see the range is falling between the range of 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power 7. So 10 to the power 7 is the higher one, where it can be having the highest conductivity, okay, and the conductors are the one which are having the highest conductivity, which is actually to the highest part or the extreme part of this range, okay. Now moving to the second category, that is insulators. Insulators are the solids which are having low conductivity, which is ranging between 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10 ohm inverse meter inverse. And last is semiconductors. These are the solids which are having conductivities which is an intermediate range, that is 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4. I mean, they are neither a very good conductor or not like a insulator, non-conductor. They are falling in between the metals and these insulators, okay. Now how they conduct the electricity? So a conductor may conduct the electricity through the movement of the electrons, okay, because the electron is what, the carrying charge, or the ions. Ion is one which is carrying a charge, okay. Ion or the electrons are having positive or negative charge. Then metallic conductors belong to the former category and the electrolytes to the later, okay. So they are talking about the former category, that is the electrons, where the metal are having free electrons in the outermost shell. Well, if you talk about the electrolytes, they are talking about the ions, okay, like electrolyte NaCl, KCl in the molten state. And the next, that is what it is written, metal conduct the electricity in the solid as well as in the molten state. The conductivity of the metal depends upon the number of the valence electron available per the atom. Now what is valence electron? Valence electron are the ones which are the free electrons, or the electrons which are available in the outermost subshells, which are actually getting the energy and it is excited to the upper excited state and then comes back and then gaining its original position. So this is how the conduction of electricity is done. The atomic orbitals of the metals from molecular orbitals, which are so close in energy to each other and as to form a band, okay. Now they are talking about this chapter 4, if you remember chapter 4 of standard 11, that is chemical bonding. Now you know that two atomic orbitals must come together to form two atomic orbitals must come together to form a molecular orbital. So here what it happens actually, when two atomic orbitals of the atom comes together, because of the lesser difference in the energy, it closely actually overlapped each other and form a space which is known as a band. Now if this band is partially filled or it overlaps with a higher energy of unoccupied conduction band, then the electron can flow easily under an applied electric field and the metal shows the conductivity. Now this can be easily understood by this figure. So you can see this figure 1.29a, which is actually depicting the conduction in metal, where you can see this blue part and the white part. White part is the empty part and the blue part is what? The filled part with the electrons. Okay, so now here the valence electrons are available here, and the valence electron, when comes under the influence of electric field, it jumps from this valence field to the valence band to the empty band, and that is known as the conduction band. So you will learn this. So it jumps from this band to this band, and this is how it the conduction goes on, and that is why it is written here the overlapping of bond. And similarly, coming back this, if the gap between the filled valence band and the next higher unoccupied band, that is also known as the conduction band, that is what I was talking about, electron cannot jump it in such a substance, has a very small conductivity and it behaves as a insulator. That is figure 1.29b. Okay, so now let us understand this. So now as you can see in the figure that in case of metal, the conduction band, which is a next higher orbital, okay, let's say we say if it is 3d4s, okay, so let me write this. So we know that 4s is filled first and then later 3d is filled. Okay, so if the electrons are in 4s, so this 3d becomes what? The conduction band, and 4s1 is what? The partially filled. I hope it you understood this. Okay, now in case of insulator, you can see there is a large gap. This is known as the energy gap. So this is what you are going to learn. What is energy gap? The gap between the two bands. If it is very large, then the electron from this place cannot go easily. It is not possible at all. Well, in case of semiconductor, there is a small energy gap, and we are going to learn this in details about semiconductors, because the gap between the valence band and the conduction band is very small, and therefore the sum of the electrons from this place, this is the conduction band, can go and jump to the this empty band, which is sum of the electron from the valence band can easily go to the conduction band and conduct the electricity. Okay, so please note the electrical conductivity of semiconductor, this increases with the increase in the temperature. So you can write this conductivity increases if the temperature is increased. Okay, why so? Because by increasing the temperature, what you are providing is the thermal energy, and thermal energy with the rise in the temperature, the electrons can gain the energy and can easily jump from this valence band to the conductance band. And for example, you have learned this in 11th standard, this silicon, germanium, they are the very good conductors. Okay, and the conductivity of this semiconductors, they are also known as the intrinsic semiconductors. They are also known as intrinsic semiconductor. The conductivity of this intrinsic or the semiconductors are too low, but practically we can use it, and therefore the conductivity is increased by adding some suitable impurities in it, and this process by adding the impurities is called doping. So next topic in this continuation is what? Doping. So the next topic is doping. And what is doping? Doping is the increasing the conductivity of semiconductors by adding the suitable amount of impurities. So some of the impurities are being added, and there are two types of impurities we are going to discuss. One is electron rich and the other is electron deficient. Okay, so first we will talk about the electron rich impurities. So now you can see electron rich impurities, that means the compounds which are rich in electrons are being added to the semiconductors. That is what the simple title says. So silicon and germanium are belonging to the group 14 of the periodic table. They have 4 valence electron. Okay, so because of the 14, okay, what will be the electronic configuration? It will be an ns2 np2. Okay, so the outermost shell will be having how many electrons? 4 electrons. Now in that crystals, each of the atoms forms 4 covalent bonds with its neighbor. Okay, like you can see this silicon crystal, which is a perfect crystal. So it is actually forming a covalent bond with its 4 neighbor. Okay, if I am talking about this. So now in this silicon or germanium, when they are doped with group 15 elements like phosphorus or arsenic. Okay, so for now you need to remember this periodic table. So now as you can see here, the periodic table, I am talking about this silicon and germanium. Now these are the 14 group elements, okay, which are having the common configuration, which is ns2 np2, and to this what is added? Phosphorus, arsenic, which are actually electron rich, and they are the group 15 elements. So this is what I am talking about here when we add this phosphorus and electron, because 15 is having what? The electronic configuration for group 15, it is ns2 np3. So it is one more electron present, and which contains 5 valence electron, 2 plus 3. Okay, so they occupy some of the lattice sites in silicon and germanium crystal, for example like this. Okay, so it has 1 extra electron. 4 out of 5 electrons are used in the formation of the 4 covalent bond, like this. So these 4 covalent bonds are formed, but still it has 1 extra electron here because it is having 5 electrons. So 4 neighboring atoms are bonded. Now the 5th electron is extra and becomes delocalized. So this delocalized electron increases the conductivity of doped silicon, and here there is an increase in the conductivity due to the negatively charged electron. Please note, it is negatively charged electron, and silicon doped with electron rich impurities are called what? N-type. So this is N-type of semiconductor. Okay, you can see here it is written, it is N-type. So please note, it is N-type when the group 15 is added. Okay, now we are moving to the electron deficient. Now electron deficient are the one which are actually deficient in the electron, as the name itself suggests. Okay, the silicon and germanium, when they are doped with group 13 elements. So let's see group 13 elements. This aluminium and gallium or indium. Okay, so generally aluminium or gallium added in this. So like boron, aluminium and gallium, which contains only 3 electrons. and 3 electron because its electronic configuration is what? Ns2 np1. So the total electrons 2 plus 1 becomes 3. Okay, so the place where the fourth electron should be there, it is actually what? Missing, and the hole or the electron vacancy is created. Now see, if you see ideally this silicon, or let me talk about this. So it is actually bonded with 4 atoms, while in case of boron only 3 bonds are possible. Now because see, you can see only one electron is present, the other is what? Missing. Okay, so this is a missing electron, and an electron forms a neighboring atom can come and fill the electron hole, but in doing so it would leave an electron hole at its original position, just like a vacancy defect. Okay, so if other electron comes to this place, let's say among these 2 electrons, if one electron comes over here, so here at this place the vacancy of electron will be created, and if it happens, it would be appear as the electron hole has moved in the direction of the opposite to that of the electron that is filled. So we can say that under the influence of electric field, actually electron would move towards the positively charged. Actually one electron is jumping from its original side to the vacant place and leaving behind the vacant place. So it is like the hole which is moving ahead and ahead, and it would appear as if the electron holes are charged and moving towards the negatively place. That is what I said, and this is known as the p type. So when it is a electron deficient, what we call it as a p type, and when it is electron rich, we call it as a n type. So I am going to summarize this soon. Okay, so now there is a comparison between the n type and p type semiconductors, and some of the parameters are the nature. So n type is actually negatively charged, as a one extra electron is there. P type is a positively charged as a whole. So let me write this as a whole. Now impurities are added in n type, it is from group 15, from p type it is from group 13, for example phosphorus and arsenic, and for p type it is boron, aluminium and gallium. About the electrons, so it is having one extra electron while it is having one less electron. Mechanism, if you talk about, then mechanism is what? The one extra electron is there in this n type, which is actually responsible for the conductivity, while when you talk about this p type, the vacancy of one less electron, because it is having one less electron, and the vacancy which is actually one less, so it is filled by the other electron and leaving behind the other vacancy of the electron, which appears as a hole, because the deficiency of electron is always shown by what? The positive charge. Okay, and again you can compare this. Okay, I am pausing my screen for seconds, so if you wanted to take a screenshot, you may take this as a screenshot. Also it will be appearing in the notes also. So for a while, if you want to study, you can take a screenshot. I'm pausing my screen. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now last part is the application part. So now as you can see, it is application of n type and p type semiconductors. They are used in diodes, which is in combination of n type and p type conductors, and it is also used as a rectifier. The transistors are used by the sandwiching a layer of one type of the semiconductors between the two layers and the other type of the semiconductor. So you will learn this in details about these conductors in physics. NPN and PNP type of the transistors you are going to study. They are going to use to amplify or to detect the radio or audio signals. They are also used in the photodiodes to convert the light energy into the electrical energy. Now moving to the next part, the germanium and silicon are group 14 elements, and therefore they have a characteristic valence of 4 electrons. They are having 4 valence electrons, and they can form a 4 bond as in diamond. So a large variety of solid state materials have been prepared by the combination of this group 13 and group 15 or group 12 or 16, and this stimulates the average valency of 4 as in germanium and silicon. So one of the typical example is gallium arsenide. Arsenic is being added in gallium, okay, and it is used as a very fast response and revolutionized the design of the semiconductor device. ZNS, CDS, this is cadmium sulfide, cadmium selenide, HGTE are the examples of this group 12 to 16 compounds. So these are the typical examples. Here one MCQ is very important, this ReO3, rhenium trioxide. Rhenium trioxide behaves like a metal. It was once asked in the board exam that it appears as a metallic copper, and conductivity is also very same to the copper, okay. And certain other oxides like vanadium oxide, vanadium dioxide, vanadium trioxide, titanium trioxide also shows the metallic and insulating properties depending on the temperature. So for now you just need to remember the applications in case of they ask. This is NP and PNP diode, which are used to amplify the radio signals or the audio signals. Also it is used in the photo diodes, okay. Moreover, one more example you need to remember, this is an application, rhenium trioxide, which behaves like a metal, and rhenium trioxide or rhenium oxide, which we say is like a metallic copper and its conductivity. So I hope this is clear to you. We are very close to end of this chapter. We are left out with very few topics. I request you, all of you, to go through this chapter 1 again, and feel free to ask if you have any doubts. Thank you. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for more videos.